So President Donald Trump on Thursday is holding a big meeting with a few key players from the video game industry to talk about how violent video games contribute to school shootings. No, you're not hearing things, and it's not the early 90s. Washington, in its search to blame the evil acts of Nicholas Cruz and other mass shooters on anything other than guns, have circled back to video games, which is crazy because we've been here before. And again and again and again. We were here when Mortal Kombat freaked out parents. We were here again when Grand Theft Auto freaked out parents. And then a bunch of people paid a bunch of researchers using your tax dollars to do a bunch of studies that over the past 25 years have come back with the same results. There's no direct correlation between violent video games and school shootings. Here's a quick supercut of some of these studies. The U.S. Secret Service contracted a review in 2004 identifying the causes of these shootings and found out that just 12% of studied attackers expressed an interest in violent video games, lower than the national average of 85% of all boys between 15 and 18 who reported actually playing violent video games. It's also not just Trump. Fair is fair. President Barack Obama and Congress funded research into video game violence as part of a 23-point plan to reduce it, and Joe Biden had a similar meeting with members from the video game industry during his time as president. Again, no direct correlation. In February 2016, it was actually found that crime went down after a big video game was released. And in 2017, the American Psychological Association's Media Psychology Division advised officials and reporters to stop suggesting that there was a connection between violent video games and real-life violence because of, you guessed it, lack of scientific evidence. But here we are. Now, initially, the plan for Thursday's meeting wasn't really clear, just Trump saying that he wanted to sit down to see what video game industry leaders could do about the situation, but his plus ones bring it a little more into focus. Check out who he's bringing. He's bringing Lieutenant Colonel Dave Grossman, a guy who authored a book called Assassination Generation: Video Games, Aggression, and the Psychology of Killing. Ooh, light read. He's also bringing Representative Vicky Hartzer, a lawmaker who, after Sandy Hook, said that the federal government needed to address video game violence, not gun violence. Very clear cut there. And Brent Bozell, the head of the Media Research Center, who has criticized Democrats for denying that violent media has any influence on under 21 shooters. Very friendly room. Also, in the lead up to this, they've pointed out that they're going to sit down with the publishers behind games like Manhunt, Grand Theft Auto, and Doom. Games that are rated M mean that kids shouldn't be playing them in the first place, but they fail to mention that these same publishers are behind games like Sid Meier's Civilization, the NBA 2K series, and Go Diego Go, Great Dinosaur Rescue. Wonder why they leave those out. It's also strange because I figured if Trump was going to sit down with video game makers, it would be the minds behind Leisure Suit Larry. But that's a topic for another time. Interesting, though, is that while Trump has made some statements that have been in support of some changes to gun laws, there's been no fast-track meeting with gun manufacturers attended by people who are, say, longly critical of the NRA to see what they can do about the situation. I mean, I don't know if that's coming, but it hasn't, and it hasn't even been discussed. And maybe Trump was just talking about virtual gun control? I don't know. If he was, maybe that control involves them nerfing the shotguns in Fortnite because they're way too overpowered. But as a lifelong gamer who has seen this show before, I gotta say, if anyone thinks that playing PlayStation is the reason that we're having these tragic incidents, y'all are tripping. I mean, the only video game that's ever given me anything close to a violent urge was the speed bike level from Battletoads, and that's because it's impossible. So let's just be realistic. If a handful of shooters expressing an interest in violent video games from a survey more than a decade ago, maybe we should ask them if they have an interest in peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. If 12% or more say yeah, then we should get Jif on the phone. And anytime gun control is brought up, defenders say it's all about the parents and guns don't kill people. Very fair point. But the gun that Nicholas Cruz was holding was used to kill 17 people. That doesn't happen if he's holding a Nintendo Switch. But maybe I'm overreacting. For all I know, they could all be getting together to play a bunch of Mario Kart. Watch out for those red shells. That's it for The Drop. I'm Justin Mack.